If you want to participate, contact me at ordinarywomenpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sure you have great projects to brag about. You can also follow me and message me on Instagram at ordinarywomenpodcast, on Twitter at ordinarywomenpc, or on Facebook on the page Ordinary Women. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Ordinary Women. I'm with Vaishnavi today. Hi, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thank you for the introduction. I'm great. Greetings of the day to all the listeners from whichever part of the world you are in.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here today. Can you start by giving us a quick introduction of yourself, please?
Sure, Lucy. I'm Vaishnavi. I'm based out of Vancouver, BC, Canada. I've been a software engineer for almost 15 years now, and it's been a very linear career in terms of a master's and bachelor's in computer science, and then always been a full stack engineer. And outside of engineering, I actually am passionate about empowering women in tech. I'm also a champion of neurodiversity, accessibility, equity, and inclusion, and also strive towards improving culture at the workplace. I also support women in tech and work towards creating an impact and giving back to the community in a small way. I'm very active in my company, Employee Resource Group, Girls Who Code, and also I'm heavily involved in the Toastmasters group. Thank you.
That's amazing. I can't wait to hear more about you. And can you tell us something unusual about yourself?
Unusual about myself, I am always solving 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles one after another. I finish one and I think I'm going to take a break, but I jump onto another 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and some of them are very intricate. It can keep me up all night, but just the joy of seeing a completed puzzle, everything is intact. And there have been times I have a toddler, I have a 2.5 year old child. My son would just play with them. I lose things and it can just push me on the edge. But I survived, I managed, and I just finished them. So that's one of the unusual things where you have a kid and yet manage to do small jigsaw puzzles without losing stuff.
Yeah, it's always Which team are you on? Do you frame them after, or do you just put them back in the box and done?
Both of them. If I
Okay.
really like a puzzle, I frame them. I have like a sheet. I don't use glue, but I have a way to, like, it's like a sheet of paper, but it has a glue on one side, so it can keep the frames intact. And if it is just a puzzle that I don't see joy in, I just give it to some people, just give it for free. But some things which have depth in them, intricacies, like mostly Scandinavian artist puzzles are very
Oh.
detailed. Hanwan Hastren, I hope I pronounced his name right. He has a very, like, you can have 1,000 people wearing denim pants and you just don't know whose character is what, and you have to keep doing it. It's anything Scandinavian, I have an affinity towards them, so I retain them, I buy and retain. But other things, which is just a one-off thing, it's more like a therapy. I just give
Yeah.
it to someone, but I always hope I haven't lost anything, so I just pack it right away so that when I'm giving someone, it's not like they see missing pieces.
Yeah, completely. It's so small, but yeah. It's so therapeutic. It's so nice. That's super cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Obviously, on this podcast, we talk a lot about what it's like to be a woman. So I'd like to start by asking, was there a moment or an event in your life when you realized that you are a woman?
I think we don't define our gender when our parents give birth to us. That's something that don't come by choice, that's nature. But then growing up, at least growing up in India, I've realized that some of the opportunities are not equal between men and women, between girls and boys. Girls are groomed a certain way, boys are groomed a certain way. Girls are groomed more to be a nurturer, a caretaker, someone who has to reproduce and then look after children. But boys are more like, you would be the breadwinner, you have to aspire, you have to be go, top of the game, because you would be the one who would bring in the money to the family, right? That's where I realized that, oh, it is different. That is where I realized that the difference between equity and equality. At least I was fortunate to be amongst a family where education was given a lot of importance. So I didn't understand a lot of what feminism means, what equity means. But the more I started going into tech, when I started tech, I realized it's such a man's world. That's when I realized there's a difference, and I'm a woman. I have to strive extra hard. If men were taking elevators and escalators, women were huffing and puffing trying to take the stairs and still trying to catch up because they have these additional roles and responsibilities apart from the day job.
Thank you so much for sharing. So how was it in your family then? Like did it mean something different to be a woman versus or like a girl versus a boy growing up?
To some extent, yes, I would be honest about it. I could have all the degrees in the world, all the accolades. I could be a who's who in my organization, in my company. But then I was always given this thought that, hey, don't become very aspirational. Maybe it would be difficult to fit in the mold of a woman, a mother, because as a mother, maybe there'll be career setbacks. There might be times when you have to take a sabbatical, take care of extended family or your own immediate family, for example, parents or in laws, especially if they're getting old, or your own children, right? So, somewhere it is, I wouldn't say it's unconscious, but there's a subconscious bias, and I don't blame my mother or anyone, it's just how they were conditioned to. But then I had to work extra hard towards saying that no, mom, I would get my degree, I would still be quote unquote a good homemaker who's also going to reproduce, yet who's also going to juggle her career. We don't have it all, we can't have it all, but somewhere every day I pick my battles. It's tough. It still is tough when you have so many things going on. I wish I could change certain things for the next generation, but yeah, there was some deep root conditioning about how I was brought up, and definitely I was brought up learning to do chores at home, learning to do some bit of cleaning, learning to do how do you do be a caretaker, how do you learn to cook. Yeah, it's been there.
Yeah. And yeah, as you said, it's so I was gonna say difficult. I don't know if difficult is a word, but yeah, we have to remind ourselves that the previous generations have been raised in a different ways and yeah, may think in a different way. And I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me it's always much harder to call out my family on this than strangers, interestingly. But yeah. And did you grow up with any women role models?
A lot of them. In fact, one of the things a good, I wouldn't say an aspiring, a good technologist should aspire for is seeking multiple role models. I look up to different people for different things, but one of the people I have been consistently looking upon is Sheryl Sandberg. She's held leadership positions at Meta, prior to that at Google. And one of the things that I really like about her is she didn't come from generational wealth. She's a technologist and she's a self made millionaire, billionaire, right? And she talks about women empowerment and her TED Talks, her I think her whole journey is worth making a movie into. You know, she lost her immediate family, she lost spouse, you know, she covers about grief, loss, abuse, divorce, a lot of things in her book, and it felt so relatable. It's like humanizing your role model. Sometimes when you see look at your idols, they say never meet your idols because we live in a bubble about them, and then just when you meet them they're much different from what you aspire for. But she's one person that has thrived and succeeded, and One of her quotes that I always like is, done is better than perfect. That actually says that the first step is just getting something done. Don't aspire to be caught up in the whole perfectionism. And she would always say women are so much more capable, their abilities are endless, they can do so much more than someone defines them, like their spouse, their family, their children, their father. She's been the most inspiring person to me. Her leadership style has been very inspirational to me. I can go on and on about her.
Yeah, I didn't know her. I'll definitely look her up because yeah, but I really like that done is better than perfect. Yeah, so true. My dad's boss also used to say the best is the enemy of the good because usually you end up not doing if you're trying to get something perfect as opposed to just having something good that's actually done. I think like in the same kind of idea. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'll definitely look her up. And what about today? Do you currently have women role models?
I mean, she's still one of the people who've helped.
Yeah.
I mean, she joined Facebook way back in 2007, and one of her book, Lean in Women, Work and the Will to Lead, it's been inspiring. And outside of that, I think I am a bit biased when I say this, but I have an affinity towards technologists because I want to look up to someone in my field, correct? So
Mm.
be it Grace Hopper back in the day or to Sheryl Sandberg. There are people outside of tech, like, to be honest, Diana, Princess of Wales, such a charming personality. She was someone, of course, I was young when she passed away, but Diana, Princess of Wales, was such a magnetic personality. Every time I see videos, even now, of her archived videos, I just look at her and I would say that she's a person who can just change the world with her eloquence in talking, with her charm. When AIDS was a taboo, she just said she went, I believe, to Africa and then embraced and hugged the children to show that, AIDS is not transferred by embrace or hug. I think outside of this, I would definitely say Princess of Wales, Diana.
Yeah, she sounds so great. Yeah. And do you think the lack of representation of women in society had an impact on you?
Definitely, and it still does. Most of the workplaces that I am at, in the junior positions, there I would see a lot of women. Let's say hypothetically a 40-60 ratio between women and men. And
Mm.
because we are all graduates fresh out of school and college and just earning a mark, early 20s, perhaps 21, 22-ish. And then slowly, once we hit the 25 threshold, the silver jubilee threshold, the rates keep dropping because in certain cultures you're conditioned to get married early because your age is defined by your reproductive system, right? If you get older and you don't get married, maybe you will have issues with your fertility, with your childbearing capability. So I'm always used to seeing women drop out, take a back seat once they hit 25 or once they're married because the whole focus is to have children, be pregnant, right? Then, so the ratio from 40-60 starts dropping to 30-70, and then the more senior positions you're in, I think, I don't have the data to back up, but in my understanding, it sometimes goes to 20-80. So sometimes you just are in a meeting room full of engineers, full of software engineers, game engineers, and then you stick out like a sore thumb because you're one amongst like, or you are one of the five handfuls amongst like 100 odd engineers in the meeting room, and somewhere you're like not represented, and the society at large, the conditioning at large to be blamed, the way we have all been brought up and raised, even now, I'm not a person who likes to, I mean, I want to walk the walk and talk the talk, right? But there are days when the child is unwell, like last few days, my son was unwell. I had to take a back seat. So somewhere I'm always saying that, okay, I need to take a back step. I cannot fly high when there are so many things on the ground that needs my attention. So Definitely, there's a lot of misrepresentation. That is where men and women equally have to take the mental load. Some are fortunate to have great spouses and they go as a team together, but it doesn't happen everywhere, and that's where I think we miss out a lot of great talented women in the workplace.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I'd like to jump on kind of the second part of the podcast and talk about a project, life achievement, experience, however you want to call it, that, yeah, you wanted to tell us about today. So, what do you want to talk about?
I believe sometimes you have a lot of achievements, but they're like small, like these teeny mini achievements at every phase of your life. And then they would have like one big achievement you're super proud of, like you want to flaunt it, you want to wear it in your sleeve. For me, it's those small little achievements that I'm proud of. For example, it's not a project per se. Like I mentioned in my introduction, I've been a champion of neurodiversity, accessibility. So that's something I strive for. And I've been so happy to become an ambassador for Grammarly because I sometimes struggle. I have those writer's block. Sometimes there's that mental block, there's that time when I need extra help, or when I'm so that's there was a period where I was chosen as the ambassador for Grammarly ambassador for the contributions for using that and making life at workplace a little easier for the neurodiversity community. And the other aspect that I'm proud of is I'm a strong advocate for visual communication because a lot of people, we have different learning styles, we have different mentoring styles, right? So I perform better when there are more visuals because your prefrontal cortex actually stores 70% of the information there. I believe it's 70. So I've been making so many presentations about how do you make an impact using visuals, even if you're not an artist. How do you represent your mental map, your ideas better with visuals? Those are some of these projects that I'm proud of. So if you are talking about these milestones, definitely these are moments where I'm at a conference, I'm presenting, I'm actually going to Google I/O for to witness the keynote speech in person next month. It didn't come easily, but then I've been strongly advocating for people and empowering. So these small achievements actually are those tiny drops, mighty ocean, and eventually move towards a leadership role, a DevRel role, where I'm actually bringing my power of public speaking, power of presentations, power of making an impact to people, using the power of programming and documentation, and how to explain good technical concepts to non-technical people, right? I have always been doing it, but I've been more vocal about it, more in your face now than I used to be. Those are some of the things I'm actually super proud of.
Cool. It sounds like you're doing, yeah, a lot of different things, and I liked how you framed that in the beginning. Like, yeah, a lot of achievements. That's super cool. So, when did you start advocating for neurodiversity in Grammarly?
Not just in Grammarly, I work for a gaming company. I work for Electronic Arts, which is into games, right? It's
Right.
I always knew since I was a child I was different, but then my awareness then was zero. You just know you're different, but you think everyone's like that. But somewhere I felt that when I look at others, when I have my own triggers, I have my own challenges, but I also have my own superpowers, which maybe others don't have. It took me a lot of time to be like, what is happening? And then slowly I've realized, oh, this is ADHD, this is spectrum, there's a whole spectrum for these things. But then people with ADHD can perform well at certain things. They can be go-getters, they can channelize their energy and thought. They also have their own challenges. So it's still a long battle. It's not something where you just cure yourself. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but you just have to develop some strategies, some techniques, tools, tactics to manage, try to shut off your brain, try to be in your moment versus oscillating on the extremes. It's still a long journey for me, but I feel very represented when I talk to moms who are neurodiverse, and it is said that if parents are neurodiverse, the child is bound to be, at least certain things are hereditary, right? So I'm trying to be more aware of these aspects even while using software, while using a good user interface. Is it overwhelming me? Certain sounds in software, when you open a browser and you're watching something, you're just looking at some information, and then there's a startling sound that comes from the audio of one of the browsers that opened. It could startle you, or the colors could overwhelm you. Even these things, I would always think, when I look at something or when I meet some people, I know how not to be them. Or sometimes when I know the good software, I know this is an inspiration that I need to adapt. But when I look at something and it overwhelms me, I know that when I'm designing something, when I'm developing something, this is something I shouldn't be doing. So that neurodiversity aspect actually helped me to become a better person, to be a more empathetic person, because when I am doing something with my peers, I know that this doesn't work for our community and maybe this works. So I'm very cognizant of that aspect, and now I'm trying to wear it in my sleeve like a superpower than just be ashamed of it, and trying to get more word out through my employee resource groups and through the outside communities that I work with, to say, hey, how can we leverage, how can the workplaces make themselves better to accommodate people like these.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's amazing. And so, yeah, you mentioned that you speak at conferences and like yeah, you're speaking again soon, right? How did you make this happen, like public speaking?
To be honest, I'm a nervous rat. I'm super nervous. I'm very open in a one-to-one conversation or in a group informal setting. But the moment I go on the stage, there is that stage fright. For me, the stage fright is, it builds up till the day, and I'm more of an impromptu person. If I prepare a lot, I think my memory would fail me. That's one of the ADHD things. It races so fast that I
Mm.
blank out easily. But then I have strategies, just have some visual cues, keep it minimalistic so that you don't overwhelm the audience with like so many words and paragraphs in your presentation. And I didn't know, sometimes you just are so lost because your superpowers are a little different from others, right? I worked, sometimes it could be a small setting in your team, a smaller setting in your department, or let's say you're passionate about certain topics, you volunteer yourself in a small group of trusted friends, sometimes in a group of women communities, and say, oh, okay, I am a part of, let's say, Google's Women Technical program. I think I could be open enough to talk there. So set that expectation. But one thing I do is, like, people see a 20-minute presentation or a 30-minute presentation. What they don't see is 20 to 30 hour of prep work that goes, because you always want to come up with new unique content that would keep the audience wanting more than just let them snooze a bit. So I took every small opportunity and said, okay, these are things I'm passionate about. And when you grab an opportunity to speak, you're researching, you're presenting, you're vocalizing your thoughts, you're verbalizing your thoughts, because teaching is double learning. So whenever I'm passionate about something, I take it as a challenge to grab that opportunity. Or sometimes when they say there's a call for speaker application, I'm like, okay, this is something I'm passionate about, and I just put myself. Then, once you give your word, you can't say no, right? You have to start working backwards. And sometimes I'm procrastinating, but then when there's a deadline for that, I'm like, I better do this. So I'm researching and coming up, ensuring the authors are credited where need be, to ensuring that I'm always engaging the audience. So if it is a group of non-tech people, I would ensure that I'm talking basics. I'm talking in common language. I'm not using too many jargons. If it is a group of technical people in my team, for example, then I'm being very specific. I can use some company jargon, some company abbreviations that is very specific to the organization. So I would like to think myself as the digital photo frame, right? So the photo frame is there. Depending on the pictures you load in, I actually present myself to whatever opportunities that come in. So, like my son watches Paw Patrol, that's like a cartoon, and in one of the tagline for that is no job is too big, no pup is too small, or something to the effect of that. So any small thing would add up because you're always learning something from each of them, and then you never know who's noticing you, who's approaching you. So eventually with these small presentations locally in my communities, in places where I'm comfortable at, I got noticed, and sometimes that led me to bigger opportunities, bigger networking opportunities, bigger speaking opportunities. So that's how it started. I started small and building my way, and I'm still building my way upwards.
That's amazing. And yeah, you mentioned like learning from other people and networking. Was there anyone like, yeah, anyone important who had an impact on you doing this?
Most of the time it's the keynote speakers in any of the conferences. If you see, there are these talks and presentations throughout the day, but the opening keynote speaker and the closing keynote speaker are generally the ones who would capture your attention, and they could just talk like you and me, but their presentation is so much different from ours. So anywhere I go, I don't remember many of the names unfortunately right now, but most of the time it's the keynote speakers or people who are even emceeing, right? People who are actually doing the run of the show, people who are hosting the event, even those people, how hypothetically, if the tech goes bad, something, there's a power issue, there's an outage, things are going down, the nervous energy in me kicks in. How are they handling? How are they keeping that cool, calm composure? It comes from years of experience. But I would, for example, I was talking about Sheryl Sandberg, right? These people, when you listen to their TED Talks, when you listen to their keynote speeches, you know they're talking basics. They have seen it all. They have been in the industry for 20, 25 years. They could just talk jargons and jargons, yet they keep it so simple, and how they captivate audience attention, right? So I like people who are intelligent, and when they talk, it's not just their beautiful face, but how they capture the attention. So I would say all the keynote speakers that I have witnessed in person, have watched their videos online, they have all been my role models in this.
That's so cool. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. And what challenges do you face?
In terms of life, or is it professional environment?
Like like when advocating for neurodiverse people in the workplace especially.
Sometimes when you're putting out yourself out there, you're tagging yourself, you're becoming vulnerable, and sometimes that's a deal maker or a breaker. If tomorrow, for example, I have to apply another company for some reason, hypothetically, and they want to know me, my data is very much out there. But sometimes a true leader is one who would actually champion for their tribe, right? Your tribe gives you the vibe. So the challenges are a lot because you become vulnerable. You are constantly putting yourself out there, talking about your challenges, and that means that sometimes you can be taken advantage of. You can be differentiated a bit more than others because they think, oh, maybe because society, if you don't go through a certain experience, you just have hearsay, you just read about it. Perhaps you don't know what it means to be there, what it means to feel, empathize, but you're just reading about it and generalizing it. So the challenges are many, and sometimes I'm like, do I mean, ultimately, it all comes to battling some mental health issues because neurodiverse people are more prone to anxiety, more prone to more triggers than non-neurodiverse people. The average people, we have sensory issues, we have overstimulation issues a lot more. So, what feels normal and easy for some people, for us is extra hard, and that makes me vulnerable. There would be times when I could break down easily, And it could be nothing to do with you or me. It could be just the lights, the sound, the startling effects certain things cause. I was at a conference. I was not a conference. Sorry, I was at a fundraising event a few months back, and all was going good. And as an indication of timeout, it was a group of at least 60-70 people. We had like small round tables and small groups, and one of the persons who was hosting the conference, just to get everyone's attention, had hit the gong. For you and me, it's just a gong. But when you're in conversation and you're not prepared, that gong sound startled many people, and they just were able to get back because it took them just few seconds. For me, my anxiety increased. I started palpitating because I didn't anticipate that there would be a sound, and it was so much. It's like when you go to certain religious places, it's like that. But for me, that anticipation, that anxiety that built in, I think for the next 20-30 minutes, I was blanking out certain places. I was not able to gather my train of thought because once the fight or flight survival mode kicks in me, it gets very difficult. I lose it is almost like, you get those writer's block, you can't think straight. I was constantly losing my train of thought, and then finally I realized that this year I have to speak up. I just went to the host, the MC, and said, hey, before you hit the gong next time, can you just make an eye contact with me or just nudge me? Just come, let me know that you're going to hit the gong so that I'm prepared. And then next time onwards, whenever we were moving to a different topic, it was like a round table with various topics. We have to rotate the panelists and the speakers. I said, okay, she would always make eye contact, nudge me, and she started hitting the gongs in a very subtle manner, and it didn't happen. But then for you, you would be thinking, what is the big deal in it? Or for people who are listening. But then these are triggers. Even the light. Sometimes I get sensory overload. I get stimulation issues with certain sounds and light, and I can't then gather my train of thought for certain times. So constantly putting myself out there makes others feel like, what's the big deal? But it is a big deal. It is indeed a big deal. So I'm advocating for a lot of people by giving them voice, but then sometimes I'm making myself so vulnerable that there would be times when I'm almost choked, or I would have tears rolling in my eyes, because you have to relive certain moments, certain experiences to actually make an impact.
Yeah, that's so brave of you, and it's so annoying that you have to be brave rather than for it just to be a normal thing, right? But I'm sure that it benefited so many people, especially the sensory thing is so. I mean, I'm like, I have that for a lot of things, and at work, like I need to like build up a silence bubble because it's just, yeah, and some other people don't necessarily understand, but it's so tiring and, yeah, awful at the end of the day. Or like, not even at the end of the day. Your example with the gong is like even so much better. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And why are you proud of doing this?
When you have to make an impact, there are various avenues to make an impact. You could be a politician, you can start small in your community, you advocate, and then start making an impact. But then that requires a lot of time, energy, resource to make an impact as a politician. But then there are also various other avenues where you can make an impact. Sometimes there's so many people who are conditioned to not speak up because there's a taboo on mental health, there's a stigma on so many things. Then I realize, if I don't use this voice, then so many people who are nameless, faceless, voiceless would still be left behind. We are still in 2023. We were talking about so many things that, oh, early 2000s things will change. In 2020, this is a vision, but still we are, I would say, in certain aspects, being very retro in our thinking, from abortion laws to women's laws, in terms of who's talking to us about our reproduction issues, who should have a final say in whether should we have a child or not, should we have access to abortion, should we have access to certain pills that can or even to store our eggs. So it's always not us who's talking about these things. There are people who have not even felt or realized what it is. So that's why to be a change maker, I believe you have to start advocating in a small way. You could start from your home, telling your child, this is setting boundaries, this is not setting boundaries, this is no go, this is yes. Treating them like human being, not like a baby. I treat my child like a full grown adult, though he's just 2.5. I talk to him like an adult and I let him make choices. Okay, you want to wear this, you don't want to wear this. From when I'm even, for example, choosing clothing, you would be surprised, Lucy, to hear whenever I'm shopping for clothes for children, infants, babies, right? The women's clothes, the girls, the babies' clothes are all cupcakes and rainbows and all Barbies, and the boys' clothes, NASA, spacecraft, trucks, and very heavy duty automobile stuff. Why are we instilling these prints in babies? And we are in 2020s. We are heading towards the next generation, right? Who are we? So the barrier starts from there. Why can't we have unisex prints for both boys and girls? Why should girls just keep having unicorns in their prints all the time? And why should boys just keep having certain things, right? I wanted a floral print for my son in a nice t-shirt, and I wanted it to be pink. I didn't get access to that, and I went to the girls section and I found it. This could be a small deal, but even talking to people, talking to apparel makers, people who are making clothing, designing, and saying, you know what, girls can also wear NASA t-shirts. They can also wear clothes which has automobiles, SUVs, trucks, excavators. And that's where I'm starting to advocate. I'm like, if I don't advocate for it, my son would grow up not knowing the impact of equity versus equality and why he thinks it's equal opportunity. Because from a man's case, they are equal, but from a woman's case, we are still trying to be equitable instead of striving to get that equality. So, just like charity starts from home, advocacy starts from home, your community, your neighborhood, and then your city, your town, your municipality, right? So, be a change maker wherever you are. You don't have to really have law in your hands. Just be by the side of law. If you believe in something and you think that's right, say it and be open to criticism. If someone says no, have that open mind to assert yourself and say, no, this is why I think it is right according to me, and just get going. And someday, all these little voices will start adding up, and then there will arise a change maker who is actually gathering all these and then advocating for the community. That's why I'm doing it.
I love that. That's, yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's so amazing and brave and so useful. Thank you so much for doing it and for sharing it today with me and everyone who's listening. I think we're going to conclude this episode on that. So thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this part of your story with us.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for actually giving me this opportunity to present my thoughts, my views. Again, many can agree, disagree, but sometimes to start the debate, to start that conversation, someone has to speak out, right? You cannot be bubbling all those inside you. For a change to happen, you should have like a parliament debate, good side, the bad side, or both pros and cons, right? But unless the delivery happens, unless the speech happens, the conversation is not going to happen. And I'm actually thankful to have introspected while I'm talking to you and realize, oh, I have matured. Maybe my thought process wasn't this 10 years back where I didn't care about equity so much. I always thought, why do we need feminists? We are all equal opportunity people. To now, I've evolved and I've realized, no, we don't have equal opportunities. We are still taking those stairs when many people are taking that escalator, right? It's been a long ride.
Yeah, completely. And here's to more of it coming because it's still not done. Thank you so much. And there is a tradition on this podcast that the guest gets the final word, so the mic is yours.
Final word is there are certain sayings slash proverbs in languages I like. One of the African proverbs, I don't know where it exactly originated from, but I actually like it. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's one thing that resonates. That's the power of community. If you want to really be top of the game, you just hustle, 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 be there. But if you want to empower everyone, take them together. This is one of the sayings that I like. I repeat again, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And another thing which is more in the neurodiversity or in general the advocacy workplace that I personally like is nothing about us without us. Again, I say nothing about us without us. What I actually mean by that is no policy should be decided by a representative without the full and direct participation of the members affected by the policy. For example, if I'm championing for neurodiversity, majority should be speakers who actually feel belong to the neurodiverse community, or if people are in the autism spectrum. So you cannot make a policy without involving people who are being affected by the policy. So these are the two things that I always keep in my mind whenever I'm talking. Am I being inclusive of them? If you are not being inclusive, and if you are a person who's making those policies without being empathetic to the community, then I think as policymakers we fail. So those are the two takeaways that I have.